Good afternoon, my YouTube viewers. It's Crystal here. I'm just here to make another video for you on a hypothesis test. In my last video, we did a hypothesis test on a 1 proportion z-test. And in this video, we're going to do a 2-sample z-test where we're going to check one tail. And basically, so with the 2-sample z-test, you have to have 2 samples of information. So it's not a 0 or a 1. I mean, I've been researching a lot on how to do it the best, and this is what I've come up with all of my research. And so each sample is composed of 100 elements. And so the first thing that we want to do is we want to set up our significance level. And but what we'll do is I'll just move that. So we set up our significance level, which is our alpha. And so I've set it up for a 0.25. And then we've got our 2 samples. And our samples are going to be IQs, but it's not going to be the total IQ, because IQ can go all the way up to 200, and sometimes it'll go up to more than that if someone is exceptionally clever. And but I just did a variation between 75 and 125 because the median IQ is 100. And in America, I think it's a little bit lower. I think that's because they put fluoride in the water, and fluoride is a neurotoxin. And so it sort of like lowers your IQ, or that's what I think anyway. So we've got 2 samples of 100 elements each, and we got random numbers between 75 and 125. We use the range-between function. We come to our alpha level, and we set our alpha level from 0.25. You can set your alpha level up for 0.05, 0.1, 0.5. You can predetermine what your alpha level is. And now we check mean 1 and mean 2. So mean 1 is 99.49, and mean 2 is 99.9. So that's pretty much the means are pretty much even. So you can do a visual check on the means and check that the means are pretty much even. So we can do 0.05, and then our means have changed. But now, again, we've got a new mean of 100.9 and 101.46, which is still very close as well. So we check our standard deviations. But before that, with the mean, we use Excel's average function, and the average gives you the mean. Then we check our standard deviation. Excel has a standard deviation function, so we use equals stdev.s, A3 to 102 for the first sample, and B3 to be 102 for the second sample. Now we check the variance. The variance is the standard deviation squared, but the variance is var.s, and we check the variance for number 1 and number 2. And as you can see, it's changed again. So with the sample size for 100, we use the count A that gives you 100 elements, and sample size 2, you have 100 elements, so we count our sample size. Now we're going to test our test statistic Z, your Z statistic. So we can say Z, that's your Z test statistic. And you see that we've got a formula that we calculated to get your Z-score, which is E4 minus G4, that's the means, over the square root of E6 over E7. So that's the variance over the count. plus G6 plus G7, and that gives you a z-test statistic of negative 0.265. Check our p-value. The p-value, we use the norm, and norm equals norm s dot dist, E8 equal, comma false. False means we're checking the probability. If it was true, then we would check cumulative, and then if we use true, the formula would be 1 minus norm dot s. So I decided just to go ahead and use false just to cut it to the chase, really. So the z-test is used to test whether two population means are equal. So we've tested whether the two population means are equal. They're very equal. So that means the null hypothesis is true. If the two population means were not equal, then we would have to accept the alternate hypothesis. So that's it for this particular hypothesis test that we have done in Excel. We've covered how we came about making our samples using random numbers, and we define the significance level. You can define the significance level to whatever you want, and so I did actually change it, but at the moment it's 0.05. We calculated the mean, calculated the standard deviation, calculated the variance, calculated the sample size, we calculated the test statistic and the p-value, and then we come across the idea that the null hypothesis is true. So I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video because I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching my video, and I look forward to making another video for you on another hypothesis test.